Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join.
You're listening to Parasearch Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Haunted Histories with your host Penny G. Morgan, right here on Parasearch UK Radio.
Hello everybody, how are we? Weather's not so great right now, is it? I'm actually sitting here in a jumper and jeans and everything. I'm already missing not wearing my shorts. It looks like our British summer's over already. But, you know, we had a few days. We had it good for a few days. But what's everyone been up to? What have you all been doing? Who's been visiting what and reading what? And just generally come and chat to me. Come and say hello. It does feel very lonely in the chat room sometimes when I've got no one else to talk to. So do feel free to come and have a natter. Well, as you probably know, because I've mentioned it for the last few weeks, school holidays at the moment, so I'm not getting out as much as I'd like to, and I'm still doing loads of writing, and I'm still doing loads of history researching, and still working on book 2. That's coming along nicely, but I am actually going to get the chance to go and visit Southern Workhouse this weekend, which anyone who knows me would know that I'm excited about doing that. Unfortunately, it's not an investigation, but it's a proper history visit. And yes, Richard, a nice pullover. I've actually got a nice big thick grey cardigan on. There you go, nice big thick grey cardigan. But yes, it's all gone a bit chilly, isn't it? But as I was saying, off to look at Southern Workhouse on Sunday. Really looking forward to that. Although I was telling the author, Richard Eastep, we were having a chat this morning, and I said how excited I was to be going to look at a workhouse. And he just laughed and said only you would get excited about visiting a workhouse. He's probably right. It's a select few, isn't it, who would be excited about visiting a workhouse. But I am, and I'll probably do the odd live from there if I'm allowed to, just to show you around, because you've got to promote these things. You've got to promote our history. Well, I don't really think there's much else on, to be honest, at the moment. Yes, school holidays, it's very quiet. I am reading, though, a really interesting book all about the actor James Stewart, because he was a World War II bomber pilot, Liberators, B-24 Liberators. As Kerry mentioned on Monday, she wasn't sure if a Liberator was an aircraft or not. Well, yes, it was. It was one of the 2, I believe, 4-engine bombers that the American used, the other one being the more infamous Flying Fortress, as in Memphis Belle. But yes, so I'm reading all about Jimmy Stewart's career as a bomber pilot by someone who actually served with him, a gentleman by the name of Starr Smith. It's very interesting. Very interesting. I can't put it down, if I'm completely honest, but there you go. Well, without much further ado, I'm going to start playing out the interview because, it's a cracker. It's a cracker, and I actually managed to behave myself. It's a shocker, isn't it? So here we go. Well, I can honestly say I get excited every week with my guests. I have some amazing guests come on Haunted Histories, and I'm really lucky, and I'm very, very grateful for them making the time to talk to us. But this next guest is a gentleman who was on, it's over a year ago, and he actually was on his sickbed talking to us because he had really, really bad flu. And although you guys wouldn't have been able to tell whilst he was talking, because he's a complete professional, once we finished recording, I heard him go, I've got to go now. So we're going to pop the trunk on my next guest. It's Mr. Dalen Spratt of the Ghost Brothers.
Hey, yeah, I'm healthy this time.
I say, you're feeling better this time.
Feeling better. It's 100-some degrees out here, so yeah, no flu this go round.
Good. Well, if it's over 100 degrees, it'd probably sort of burn it out of you anyway, wouldn't it?
You said what now?
If it was over 100 degrees, it's going to burn it out of you anyway, even if there was flu around.
Listen, you got to sweat it out or something. Something was going to happen. Exactly. Right,
well, I know you're very, very busy at the moment, sir, because you've got a new series starting next week.
We do. It's called Ghost Brothers Haunted House Guests. It's the maturation of us. You know, we're growing up and finding our voices and finding our place in this paranormal community, and this is the natural progression.
Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about what it's going to sort of be about and how it's going to differ to the other Ghost Brothers series?
Yeah, so in the original Ghost Brothers, it was more so, I felt like we didn't have a secured purpose with it. It was more so just dropping us off in some of these, you know, most haunted locations like the House of Wheels and just seeing how we fare. Like it was something new. It was something different, you know, these different personalities. But now I feel like with Haunted House Guests, the whole premise is we get to go, families reach out to us and, you know, they inform us that their houses are haunted and they need some type of resolve. And we're able to go spend the entire weekend with that family. And on that Friday, we investigate in their home with them. They show us everything that's going on. And then that Saturday, they leave. We go out into the town. We research their property. We look through property taxes, Ancestry.com, death certificates. Yep. Property records, just to see what happened in your home, what happened in your area, what happened around your town, like what could be the reason why your house is haunted or you're experiencing all these paranormal activities. And then we investigate Saturday night, and then you come back Sunday and we give you all of the information that we found. So who it could be, where they could have came from, why you're experiencing this. And then we try to give you some type of resolve. We may bring in a psychic or a medium or someone to help cross spirits over or someone to pray, just cleanse. So we actually get to help people in this series. So it's actually dope. It's cool. It's different from what we've been doing, but I feel like it has a way greater impact.
I'm offended though, Dalen. You've offended me.
Why do you say that?
Because you didn't call me to help with the history research.
You know, you're absolutely right.
Dalen, what are you doing to me?
I know it. I will definitely keep that in mind for season 2.
And the other thing is, when you get a season 2, so to get you 3 to come to my house so we can party all weekend, I've got to tell you it's haunted.
That's all you got to say.
Is that what I've got to do? Oh, I'll keep that in mind. I'm sure we'll find somewhere that we can, that looks a bit spooky, that we can say it's really haunted, guys. You've got to come here and then we can party all weekend.
Listen, that's all we love to do. We don't want to do anything else.
Well, I'm really pleased to see that you guys are going to be back on the screen because the chemistry you 3 have, if nothing else, I just think is awesome. And I do love how unaggressive you all are when you're doing your investigations, and how courteous you are and how respectful you are. And I think that's something that the paranormal industry needs more of.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, we just try to keep it with the mantra, you know, treat others the same way you want to be treated. So even if you're alive or dead, like, I'm just going to treat you with the same respect that I would want to be treated with. There's no point of, you know, being aggressive or angry or like, and then you try to get people to talk to you. Like, who's going to talk to you like if you're being rude?
Exactly. Exactly. No, I'm with you there. It's a big bugbear of mine when people are being nasty to whatever the entity is, and it you know, show some respect. You don't know what they went through when they were alive. Show some respect. Plus, you 3 do make me laugh. I do find you hilarious.
Good. I'm glad that our personalities can shine through.
I so want to do an investigation with you all. I really do. I think we'll just be laughing from start to finish. I really do. One day. Those
are the best kind of investigations.
I agree. Well, the subject we're talking about, and it was actually one that you said really resonated with you when you were doing the original Ghost Brothers series, was when you visited a place called the House of Wills on 2491 East 55th Street, Cleveland, Ohio. And I've seen the episode a few times, and it's an amazing looking building, albeit a bit sort of run down and and ramshackle, but it's an amazing looking building. And who found that location for it? Was it one that you guys knew of, or do you have a production team who look for them?
No, so when we were doing the original Ghost Brothers, we had a production team that would go out and find all these different locations, just because it's a lot of red tape that goes through it. Like, people feel like if you could just pick a location out, like, it has to be large enough for us to film there. They have to sign off on it. Like, it's a lot of, like, red tape that goes into filming for television. So, yeah, we have producers that go out and find these different locations that fit the criteria for the show. Yeah, and they found the House of Wheels, which was pretty awesome.
It is. I mean, did you ever watch the Netflix series Haunting of Hill House?
I did.
It reminds me of the funeral parlour in that. The way the building's laid out. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It really reminded me of that to look at.
Yeah. Hill House was a really good show. That was a really good series on Netflix. I didn't think it was going to be, but yeah.
Yeah, we could digress and start talking about that, but I thought it wasn't as scary as people said it was. I found it more intriguing from a psychological perspective. But when people say, "Oh, it's really boring," I'm 3 episodes in, keep watching because things start to make more sense. And even I jumped a few times. I wouldn't say I was sick from fear, but I definitely went a couple of times. I'm looking forward to the next series, see what they bring into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, but the house itself hasn't always been a funeral parlour, has it? I mean, it's got an interesting history from some of the research I was doing.
Yeah, it actually it started off as a Masonic temple, so it was built in maybe the early 1900s, late 1800s. It was built as a Masonic temple, and the way that it was designed was to capture all of the energy that went in and out of that area. And then it transitioned in the mid 1960s to be Cleveland's #1 black-owned funeral home. So if you're still subscribing to the the rationale that this place was once haunted, not haunted, but like built to trap the energy of whatever came in and out, now you're capturing like grief and sorrow and hurt and anger and mourning. All these, sad emotions are being trapped in this building. And then you fast forward to 2000s and it's Cleveland's #1 satanic church. Yeah,
I quite like
just
that.
Took a left.
But do you know what it was in between? I mean, I'm not disputing the Masonic Lodge, but it was also a German social club at one point.
Okay.
And there's also evidence that it was a Hungarian immigrants' hospital in the early 1900s.
I believe it. The place was huge. It was probably a whole bunch of other things, too.
Probably. Oh, it was. It was also a Hebrew school at one point as well.
So it's just seen all types of religions and beliefs.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say to you. The amount of different faiths and things that have been imprinted on it. It's no wonder that it is alive. Because that was one of the key bits of sort of things that came out of your investigation, wasn't it? The house kept telling you that it was alive. Yes.
That house was creepy. It seemed to be like a breathing, living organism.
Yeah. But what did that mean to you guys then? I mean, it was more you and Joanne because obviously Marcus didn't like the satanic aspect and refused to come in for a lot of and he was he got your backs, as he was saying, from outside.
Right.
But what did it mean to you and Joanne, the house, in effect, telling you that it was alive?
I mean, I don't think we really understood what it meant at that point in time because it was just, it was weird and it was creepy that, that we're getting these type of responses. I think it wasn't until like now when you think back at everything that what happened, like we're a couple years removed from it now and you think back to it, you're able to think back with a clear mind and then it's just, but I think that makes it even more creepy because you're able to think with a rational mind and you still can't rationalize the things that happen.
Yeah.
So, that place was crazy. I would never go back.
Would you not?
Have to pay me. You
really?
have to pay me to go back. Yeah,
really?
You have to pay me to go back. Yeah. I don't feel like there's anything for me in that place.
Right. So are there any other locations that have affected you like that?
Nope, that's the only one.
Really?
That's genuinely the only place I've ever been to that I will never go back to. There was just no reason to go back. Like, everything just went wrong, I felt like, at that place. Like, we had people that ran in off the street and got lost in there late at night while we were... It was just crazy. It was just a lot. Everything that could go wrong went wrong with that.
So come on, tell us what happened. Tell us what happened that wasn't on the television program that went wrong.
No, like I said, somebody literally ran in off the street and got lost. Like, so that was a security breach, just period. Like, we're in the middle of this neighborhood, and you know, it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and some people literally ran into this building off the street. And this is a 40,000 square foot dilapidated building. So, so think about trying to find a random person that's not trying to be found in this megaplex, and you don't know what they have on them. So then it just goes from an element of dealing with spirits and ghosts. That's one thing, but now you're dealing with real people who could genuinely be trying to harm you.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. So it's just a whole that you can't see. It's dark. Like, it's in this building. It's a million places you can hide in.
Yeah.
So it's just like, so that was a safety breach for us. So it was just like all this stuff is just like, maybe we shouldn't be here.
Well, that was funny because the house said it didn't want Marcus in it, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Crumbs. Oh, that would be scary. That's one of the things that worries me the most when I do late night investigations, that somebody gets in who's not supposed to be in there. I always say the living scare me far more than the dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Crumbs. Okay. Well, the area that it's in Cleveland, is it a nice part of Cleveland, or is it quite a sort of...
Well, no, it's the hood. It's the
hood.
It's the hood of Cleveland. Yeah, that's
really
the, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, it's not the best of areas.
Okay. Well, going back on the fact that the building has had quite an interesting past, and as we've said, it's full of energies of different faiths. Whatever your faith is, you can probably find something that will tie into it in that building, by the looks of it. But in 1941, it was taken over by John Walter Wills, who was, as you said, he's one of the leading black businessmen, not just funeral directors in Cleveland. He was one of the leading black businessmen. In fact, I was doing a bit of a dive finding newspaper articles on them, and he was actually, I found, where did I write it down? He was actually the president of the Cleveland Association of Coloured Men. And he was very into the civil rights. He was also putting himself up as a Republican candidate, according to this newspaper article.
But back then, black people were a part of the Republican Party. So that was like back in like the 50s, 60s. It was very,
this
very
was pre then. This was like 1920, sort of really early on.
So pre all of that. The black people didn't switch over to the Democratic Party over here to like 70s, 80s.
Really?
Like before that, everybody was Republic.
Oh.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. But anyway, so even being at the House of Wills, I remember going up to the attic where Mr. Wills used to reside, like his apartment area, and they had a whole bunch of civil rights posters, authentic civil rights posters, and all that stuff still being housed up there. So that was kind of cool to see. It really felt like you were stepping back in history.
Yeah. I mean, he was amazing because he used to use that property to host black community gatherings that were barred from other sort of facilities in Cleveland. And I read he even hosted a funeral for a black family that had been told they couldn't be done anywhere. I don't know why it wasn't allowed to be done anywhere else, but they wouldn't allow it anywhere else. So he was obviously he had a good heart. He wanted equality.
Everything was cool. I feel like up until the new guy that has it, like everything, even the Masonic Temple, like you said, the Hebrew school or whatever that was when that was there, it being a funeral home, like everything was cool. I feel like until this new guy came and he, turned into a satanic church. Like I feel like that just added fuel to the fire there.
Right. But do you think that is the reason why it's got such a kind of an eerie, malevolent feel, or do you think you would feel that even if you didn't know what it had been used for recently?
No, only because of the devil. Like, I can guarantee it. I can guarantee it. That place is dark.
Right.
That place is dark. And only can be that dark, I feel like, when you open up that type of door.
Right.
And he willingly opens up that type of door. Like, everybody loves to talk about the House of Wheels episode. That's like the favorite episode for people to talk about. So we always get approached. And the common factor that we've gotten approached about is like, I don't think you guys really, researched the guy that owns this house. Like, we've met people that met him, that known him, and people that have done their research. And they're just like, I don't think you really know the guy, because what he was saying about his beliefs on the show isn't the extent of his beliefs in all actuality. It was
he sanitized it a bit, did he?
Yeah, he was like, he made it sound a little bit sweeter than what really goes on in there. Because when we got there, and this is how I know it's because of that. Like, when we got there, the producers made him clean out the place because he has one of the largest collections of satanic art that you can have. Right. So in the lobby, when we walked in, there was a life-size statue of Jesus who was having sex with Mary. And it's like, it's like a whole bunch of stuff like that in this place. So it's like, you can't worship the devil and then have all this satanic art and like do all these dark things in this place and then feel like that's not the reason why all this crazy stuff is happening. Like, you opening the door, you playing with that stuff. Okay,
and I guess Marcus knew did he know this before he said, I can't do this, I'm walking out? No,
So the way that unveiled was when we first decided to do the show, like, our whole thing was we just don't want to do anything that has to do with the devil. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just the one thing that we don't want to cross. Like, you can people can get killed, murdered, and all that crazy stuff, but just like anything that's just knowingly with the devil, like, we didn't want to even put ourselves in the place to even interact with stuff like that.
Right.
So when we get to the House of Wheels, we didn't know any background on the House of Wheels. Like, we like to keep we liked at that time to keep our knowledge to a minimum, so we're not tainted by others' opinions. And it wasn't until we got there that we found out about all of this stuff. Now they're moving out all the satanic art and all of this. That's when Marcus found out. And then that's when Marcus refused to go in at that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he was pretty sort of vociferous about it. He didn't mince his words, did he? I mean, he was... I mean... Because I'm fascinated by all. I mean, I'm fascinated. I don't follow any particular faith. I'm fascinated by them all, but I don't particularly follow them. But so I was trying to sort of understand why that would bother someone as much. But if you knew about some of the other stuff that had been cleared out to make it look a bit more sanitized, to make it more acceptable to the general public on a television show, that kind of does make a little bit more sense to me, especially.
It's our, that's the way I would liken it, is like if you had a group of, say, Jewish investigators, and then you take them to a location and they walk in and there's all these Hitler signs and swastikas and like, you know what I mean? Like, all this stuff. It's like, wow. Like, that's intense for me to be in here with. That just genuinely goes against me as a person. And now you're thrusting us and you want me to talk to this person who subscribes to this belief system. And like, it was just a lot to try to drop on somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Juwan and I, like, I don't knock anybody for their faith at all. Like, you can, whatever you believe in, whatever you subscribe to, that's your business. Like,
as long as you're a decent person, you can do what you want.
Hey man, listen. Even if you're not a decent person, like, that shit is your business. Like, it's people out here that are on all ends of the spectrum. Like, I'm not gonna knock you for doing nothing that you do, but my thing is, like, we just got to be realistic, man. Like, that was just some wild stuff. Like, that's just a lot. Like, that's just a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't gotta respect Christianity, but I feel like you ain't gotta, like. But again, he owns the building. He can do whatever he want to do in there. So again, I can't tell you what to do on your property. But it just didn't sit well for us, and Marcus was just very vocal about it.
Yeah. Okay. Because I must admit, the first thing I thought when I first saw the episode was that a setup for the episode to give it a bit more drama. But you're saying no, not at all.
If we would have known that, anything about that place, we would have never came.
Really?
And the only reason why hell no, not at all. Like we wouldn't have came. And the only reason why we kept it going was like, shit, we here at we were there, and it was the last episode. It was the last like week of filming, and it was just like, man, we're here. Like, it ain't no point of like messing everything up right now. Like, we about to go home. Like, that's back when we used to like be on the road for weeks at a time. And it was just like, look, man, let's just go in here and knock these couple days out and get it done with. But yeah,
wow,
yeah, it was
okay. So let's talk about some of the different rooms in the house. We'll get away from the Satan thing for now, because I think you've explained that really, really well. The basement. The guest investigator you had with her, Sarah Cope, I believe her name was, had said there was something very aggressive in the basement. And I know when you went back down there, I think it was just you and Jawat, he wouldn't come down the stairs, would he? He wanted to stay sort of halfway up the stairs when you were, I think you were running a Novelist, if I remember rightly.
I think so. You got to help me remember, because it was this. Because people don't realize, we filmed this. This is probably like, honestly, now it's probably almost 3 years ago.
I'll remind you. No, he did.
Yeah,
he stayed he said something about, I'm staying on this fifth step, I'm not coming any further, or something along those lines.
Right.
And
okay, I remember. Yeah.
You were using the Ovilus. You were using the Ovilus, and you had words like dark, darkness, and David come through. Right. And that was a lot of it. I think beforehand, when Sarah had been down with you, you were doing some crystal sort of divination work.
Yes. Yep.
Why is it that in every show I seem to watch, basements are always meant to be the dark, malevolent, nasty places?
I just think that it just comes from like scary movies and just like that whole just fear of like closets, dark, like enclosed, away from everything. And I just feel like basements have gotten a bad rap in this whole genre. Attics don't get the same type of feel as basements, but they're both still the same type of thing. One is just an above and one below. Then I think it's that whole idea of being like ideally, theoretically underground with a basement. Almost. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it makes you almost like synonymous with like being buried. I think it's just a lot of just like subtext and like subconscious thoughts and elements to like a basement that scare people or make people nervous.
Okay. So did you feel nervous down there?
Yeah, a little bit, because I mean, we was getting hits and stuff. We was getting activity. Like I said, like the word darkness and like anytime stuff is coming through or happening, then yeah, I feel some type of way. Get nervous.
Okay. Well, I did say, as I was watching it with my son tonight, that we were to tell Juwan to get a bit more brave and come down those steps next time.
Exactly. But I can honestly say, with this new show, with it being in houses and stuff, Juwan definitely steps it up.
Oh, does he?
You see a side. Yeah, you see a side of all three of us that you may not have seen before. So it's way more of our personalities. It's beyond just the humor. Like, the humor's there. Like, that's never going to leave, because it's just who we are as people. But like, you get to see a way different side of all three of us.
Yeah, because I think one of the things with you guys, because the humour is a very important part of your show, and I love that part of it. I don't think some people realise you are still quite genuine and serious about what you're doing. You're not just three lads, having a laugh at everything. You are actually quite serious, but it's your way of conveying what you're doing is almost through the humour. So that's one of the things that I genuinely think that people don't, personally, when I've had feedback about Ghost Brothers, is that people don't realise you guys you're genuine. You do genuinely are doing. You're not just three guys who have been pulled off the street who look good together. It's like a manufactured boy band who've been, pushed into haunted locations. You've all got a genuine interest in it and a genuine passion for it. Would that be correct?
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool, because I think that, everyone gets to see our journey unfold. We haven't been doing it for years like everybody else. We were relatively new when we first started, but we never professed to be these people that's been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. Like we've always said we were the same people that used to watch these shows at home, like everybody else, wondering if they was real. We were just fortunate enough to get the opportunity to start our process in front of the world. And humor, it's not like, it's different when you like script your humor for as a gag or as a thing, like, oh, we're gonna make this show funny, so let's find funny moments and make humor so this show can be different and be funny. Nah, like none of that stuff is scripted. Like, it's genuinely just us friends going someplace. Like, we could literally be 3 brain surgeons in the middle of surgery. If you had all 3 of us in there, I guarantee you Marcus would crack a joke, Jawan would respond, and I would be laughing. Like, it doesn't matter what we're doing. We're great friends. Yeah. And it's always going to be funny. Something is always going to be funny. Like, always.
It's the chemistry. It's the chemistry the three of you have got. Yeah. I mean, that I genuinely, I'm not just saying that because you're talking to me right now. I love that side of it. Oh dear, yeah, I can't watch an episode without bursting out laughing at some of the things that come out of your mouth sometimes. One of my favourite lines was, I don't know who it was who said it. It said, if you see one black guy running and you all go, you see all the black guys running. And things like that. Yeah. I just think, it just makes me laugh. It just genuinely makes me laugh. But in the house, you did quite a lot of work in the auditorium area, which would have been sort of like the chapel of rest or something at some point. I did find out that used to be a dance hall at one point as well.
Oh, okay.
It was used as a dance hall. But I was quite interested in the candle experiment. I don't know if you remember, you lit 2 candles and you almost like...
So that was... Yeah, that was in the that was outside the sanctuary. That was in another little room,
right? That's
parallel to the sanctuary. But we always try to do like with Ghost Brothers. We always try to do like low tech ideas, because that was my thing when watching ghost hunter shows. Like I didn't know what an EMF detector was, what an SLS machine was, or like any of that stuff. Like I didn't know how it worked. None of that stuff. So in my mind, it was always like, if I ever had the opportunity to do a show, I didn't realize how important equipment was at the time. I was like, if I ever got the opportunity to do a show, like, I don't want all that technical stuff. Like, people don't understand how that stuff works. Like, you hear stuff, you see stuff light up. Nobody knows what that means, but everybody knows what it means for, this window to close shut, or this, like, any crazy thing that you could actually see.
Yeah.
And so we had the idea, why not have candles, light candles, and ask questions, make the flame flicker, make it go out. Like, let's just see. And we were just asking questions, and the flames were responding. But that could have been anything. It could have been, there's a breeze going in here. There's, maybe Jawan blew his breath, or like maybe like, who knows what could be going on. So then we asked, can you just make one candle react?
Right.
And it did. So it was just like, oh, okay. All right.
So that candle experiment bit you did, I mean, obviously on the screen it was only a few minutes of it. How long did you actually do it for filming purposes?
We was probably in there about 30 minutes, maybe.
Right.
Maybe about 30 minutes. It wasn't a long time. Like, it was going on. Like, it was happening. It was happening.
Yeah, because that's one of the other things I'm always interested in is when you see sort of the snapshot filming of these investigations, and sometimes, and you've probably found this, when general public then come on an investigation, they have a kind of a false sense because they think in 45 minutes they're going to have all this stuff happen to them, and then you try and explain to them that a lot of the TV shows you see, they're filmed over 48 hours, some of them. I mean, you'd like take Paranormal Lockdown is 72 hours, for example, and it's trying to sort of say that you might have to sit there doing nothing for an hour, and then something happens, and that's part of being an investigator, isn't it? It's the patience to just wait.
You gotta be patient. But honestly, it's very rare that we're in a location long without something happening. Like, I don't know. And we talk about that all the time. Like, that does not make sense to us at all. Like, at all. Like, at all. It does not make sense of why things always happen. Like, you would think at some point something would not happen. But, like, no, like, every place we've ever been to, unexplainable things happen. So I'm just like, damn, I wonder if, like, spirits know, like, we on TV. And, like, they trying to get a cameo. Like, are they trying to, like, why are y'all so active? Like, what's going on? Like, is there ever going to be a time where it's just quiet and nothing happens?
Well, it's just made me think of a joke I've seen on Facebook where there's two ghosts standing there, and one of them says, "Dude, don't put on your CV you're a demon. You're not a demon." He goes, "Yeah, but it gets me more TV work."
Right, exactly. Do you
know what I think, though, you guys get a lot of activity?
Why is that?
It's the humour thing. It's the fact that you're having a laugh, and that generates energy.
Yeah, we said that too. We made that point too. We was like, everybody, even the most thuggish person in the hood, like, everybody enjoys a good laugh. Like, you can't. There's no person alive that doesn't enjoy, even if it's secretly, a laugh.
Exactly.
So it's just like, what makes you feel like, you know, when you die, that goes away?
Well, I always call it the Monsters, Inc. theory, that laughter produces more energy than fear. So I'm wondering if it's because you guys go in there with that real humour, feel-good energy about you all. You're kind of like paranormal batteries, almost, for the spirits. You're giving them energy to do something because you've got the energy already. I don't know. Right. Maybe. I don't know. I tell people all the time, and I don't think anybody gonna know until they pass over to the next side. No, exactly. It's nice to have theories, and it is also nice when I haven't heard a bad thing about any of you from people who've met you.
Now that's what means the most to us. I
think it was Richard Estep was at a conference with you guys, a Paracon with you guys. I think it was last year, and your tables were next to each other. The author Richard Estep, and he said there was, I think it was a less abled fan came up to you guys. I think she was he or she was in a wheelchair, and he said you guys stopped everything you were doing so that she could get the photos that she wanted and things like that. Yeah. And he said he thought that was pretty amazing. And I honestly have not heard a bad word about you guys from anyone who's met you.
That means the world to us. Like, our thing is, we understand we wouldn't be in this position without the people that watch the show. So, like, I've never understood how, like, people that are blessed to be in a position to do any type of television, sports, entertainment, whatever it is, when you have people that really care about what you do and they want to show their appreciation by getting a picture or an autograph or a hug, like, who are you to say no? That doesn't even make sense to me. Like, I don't know. That just never, I don't know. That just does not make sense to me. Like, if somebody cares enough to want to take a picture with you, why would you say no?
Yeah, like, and why would you not put your best smile on for them and put your arm around, exactly. They've gone out of their way to find you.
I had a lady tell me one time, and that's what changed my whole perspective. She came to us at one of these conferences, and she was just like, she was crying. She met us. First of all, it's crazy when somebody cries meeting you. I felt like only like Michael Jackson and Prince have ever experienced that. Like, that blew my mind. But she told us she was diagnosed with cancer. The doctor gave her 6 months to live, and her wish was she wanted to meet us before she passed away.
Oh my gosh!
And that touched me, so I didn't know what to say. Like, I was like, me? Like, you could have met like Denzel Washington. You could have met Michael Jordan. Like, anybody. Like, you actually cared enough about Dalen, Marcus, and Jawan where we were on your bucket list. And that was just kind of cool. Like, you don't realize, like, how much people care or how much you
mean to them.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
But I genuinely think it's that kind of attitude is why you guys get the success in places that you do with the spirits and stuff, because I think you don't come across as antagonistic. You come across as you want to laugh with them. You don't come across like you want to turn them into performing monkeys either.
Nope.
And I think that's why you find activity so I really genuinely believe it. I think it's the attitude you go somewhere with. And it may be why, even in the House of Wills, or the House of Won't, as you called it at the end of the episode, which still, again, makes me chuckle.
That's funny.
Yeah, I did find that funny, yeah. My son didn't hear what you'd said as I'm chuckling away. He goes, "What did he say?" And when he said it wasn't the House of Will, it was the House of Won't. And he was like, "Oh, yeah!"
That's funny, right?
But I think that possibly is why nothing really bad happened to you guys in there. Because I actually reckon there are, even if there is some kind of malevolent entity in there are still good spirits who were probably looking out for you. Because you're nice guys.
Right, that, and we pray.
Right.
Like, we pray before we go in any location. We cover ourselves and make sure we're really strong to our belief system. So I feel like that has a lot to do with it too. So yeah, I think with all the bad that we go into, I think we have an army of good around us.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because in the auditorium, you were in there on your own, and you were using I think you were using a PSP 11, weren't you? Or you were using a spirit box of some sort, and you were asking if there was anyone there. It sounded like a woman's voice coming through to me when listening back to it.
It probably was. It probably was, and it's just so much. A lot of stuff happened that episode that didn't even make the show. Like, it was just, yeah. I remember in that same sanctuary, we were in there, and it was just weird. Like, we were in the front of the sanctuary, and the stage would be, I guess, considered. No, okay. So let's say we were in the back of the sanctuary, and the stage would be considered the front, where you would put the casket. So we were in the back. The stage is in the front, but behind the stage, off to the side, is a walkway, like a door frame that leads to the back stairwell. So we were in, like I said, the back of the sanctuary, filming and talking, and literally we see someone come from the side of the stage. They had seemed like a flashlight, and they came around the corner and they went down the stairs by the stage. Everybody in our mind was just like, "Oh, that's just, a producer or a cameraman or an assistant that's just trying to get out the way of us filming."
Yeah.
Because there's a crew. You have a crew of people with you. But their job is to stay out the way or to not be on the premise. But we were just like, okay, maybe someone had to come in here for a reason. Didn't think of it. So we go that way and we go down those stairs and nobody's there. And we're like, wait a minute. All of y'all saw a whole ass person with a flashlight walk down here, right? And
it was that vivid.
Like,
It was that obvious.
You couldn't see their face because it literally just looked like somebody just turned the corner real quick. And, say if somebody's coming out of a room and they immediately just turned down some steps. It just looked like you saw the side of them. You didn't see the front face. That's how I was just figured it was somebody that had to be working on the show. It was like a PA or somebody. But then no one was down there. And then when we took a break, we were all like, hey, did somebody come down these steps? And nobody was there. Everybody was like, nah, we wasn't even in the building. But there was nothing for us to follow. We didn't explore it. It was just something weird that happened, and it didn't make the show because it was just nothing. It was nothing to catch. No one, the camera didn't catch it. It was just an afterthought once we cut the cameras off because the person that we thought was there was nowhere to be found.
Right. So how dark is the building inside if you haven't got any at all?
Pitch black.
It is
pitch black.
Well, you can't see your hand in front of your face dark?
No, it is dark. It is dark. It is dark in that building. So if the cameras, because the cameras have lights, so if you're not using your flashlight or the camera's light, or that's how we could tell it looked like a person because the person looked like they had a flashlight.
Right.
They looked like they were holding a flashlight. It had a light and everything, a dim flashlight. That's what made everybody look to see something because it looked like it was a person with a flashlight. But it was just, that place got really, really dark.
And it wasn't that intruder person who'd broken in.
No, this was a different night because, like you said, we investigate 2 or 3 nights out the week.
Yeah.
Right. So one night somebody really did break in there, but this night, no. This was to this. I don't know. I don't know who. I don't know what it was.
Wow.
But 3 people saw it.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. I must admit, looking at it almost looks like there was a throne on the stage. I was sort of watching the filming of it, and I thought that looked quite... and the way the sheets were displayed around it, I was going to say that could probably make... If you saw that out of the corner of your eye, you could think that was something...
Yeah, but that was a lot of that satanic art that they were trying to cover up.
Oh, is that what that was? I did wonder if the throne was something to do with the satanic side when I saw it. Whether it was sort of where the high priest would sit or something along those lines.
I don't know, maybe, but yeah, all that, the tarps that was thrown around, that was them trying to cover all that satanic stuff.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't have gone down very well with the general viewing public, really, would it?
Exactly.
To be able to see that kind of thing. So the auditorium, you had some stuff coming through on the spirit box that was quite interesting, and in fact, one of the words did sound like it said diagram or something. It was definitely like 3 or 4 syllables. So when you think of that over that many, how many sweeps it's doing, it's not a radio show picking up. It's someone was definitely trying to say something. Anything with more than 2 syllables. I can't remember how many sweeps it's normally. It's like 250 a second or something ridiculous it's doing. But something like that. But then when you guys were up or Marcus went up to Mr. Will's old bedroom, and the REM pod was in effect answering him when he was saying, "Are you here? How many other spirits are here? Blah blah blah," and then you guys went up to see him up there, and you told him that the spirits had said the house had said it didn't want Marcus in there. And the look on his face was, I couldn't quite work out if it was of hurt or fear or a bit of both.
I think it was more so fear and more so shit. I ain't want to be here no way. So like we on the same page.
So why do you think, with hindsight, it was him that the house picked off as not wanting him there? Because
I feel like the house knew that he didn't want to be there. Like, he was the one that was adamant of not wanting to be there.
Right.
Like, I mean, to the point where it was an issue. Like, we had to stop filming because Marcus did not want to be there. So it was just kind of like, would you want somebody in your house that didn't want to be there in your space?
Probably not.
Yeah, right. That's like me not wanting to be on your podcast. Like, just adamantly not wanting to be there. Like, I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to her. I refuse it. And then coming on the show, you're not going to be like, "Hey, Dalen."
I probably would, because I'm stubborn like that. I'd turn you around. I'd have you begging to be on it again by the end of the show, mate.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's showing. I guess it's showing unwilling, but I wondered if it was... I wonder what Marcus thought, what he thought the reason was. If it was just like, well, if you don't want to be here, I don't want you here either.
I think he was just more so just, I mean, I think he just felt like his faith was just so, his belief was just so strong and adamant that it was just a battle between good and evil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you would never go back there again?
No, I don't have no business there. There ain't nothing for me going on there.
Even if it changed ownership, even if it wasn't a satanic temple anymore?
Nah, because I think it still got the little residue in there. It's gonna still have a little satanic residue.
Right.
So there ain't no point in me going back in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what other sort of places would you like to get to then, if you could?
I like what we're doing now. I like the new show, Haunted House Guest, just because, like, it's not the same old places that everybody goes to. Like, these are genuine families with genuine homes and genuine issues. So it's like, it's always something new. It's always something new. It's not like Waverly Hills that everybody's been to and you've heard the story 1,000 times. Like, nah, like this is Jimmy and Martha that live down the street from you, who you would have never guessed that 10 people got killed in their house, and like they're being driven out by this negative ghost. Like, that's interesting. That's interesting as hell.
So what without telling me the episodes, because I'm looking forward to seeing them when we get it in the UK. Hopefully we won't have to wait too long. Was there any of the research that you were doing when you were looking into the backstories of each of the properties which made you all really uncomfortable to find out?
Not really uncomfortable for us, but uncomfortable for the families that live there, for sure.
Right.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Especially some of the families when we they found out what had happened or who was there or what was linked to the property. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them were shocked.
Okay. Because I know when I'm doing sort of history research, and maybe I'm reading up on something that happened during the Holocaust, like the way some of the concentration camp victims were treated, or the way even some of the research I'm doing for my next book that I'm writing at the moment, I've been looking at some of the American Air Force POWs who would have bailed out of bombers that were crashing, and the fact that, that they were literally, some of them were shot on the spot as soon as they parachuted to and it does make you feel uncomfortable the way some of them were treated. History isn't always palatable, shall we say. It can be quite uncomfortable, even to uncover that, crumbs, someone actually did that to someone, and I'm standing in the spot where they did it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That can be interesting, and that can be weird. So I guess I liken it to, like, I watch a lot of shows like Criminal Minds and First 48, like all these cop criminal shows. It's just kind of like the detective you'll see a detective literally standing over someone who just got shot 75 times, and it's like, dang, like, how can they do that and not be affected by it? And it's just like, you just get immune to the what, and you try to figure out why.
Yeah, that's kind of where I come from now when I do a lot of my history research. But even still, sometimes I do read some accounts and just think, oh, that's a bit much. But so you've got your new series starting next week in the US. Do we know when it might be getting sent out to Europe, and have they given you any idea?
I'm not sure about the international release, but there will be one. There will be one, and man, you guys are gonna love it. You're gonna love it for sure.
I hope so. Make sure I'm hoping you guys will have to dust your passports off and fly over to promote it.
That's the plan. Hopefully we'll be able to do some episodes over there.
Well, I know Haunted Magazine would love to have you over, because that's one of the conversations I've had with the guys, Paul and Andy, who run Haunted Magazine. I know they would love to have you guys come over.
That would be amazing.
And sort of introduce you to people over here, because we do spread the Ghost Brothers word over here. We do, three lovely, good-looking, polite Southern gentlemen. Can't go wrong with that.
Listen, we appreciate y'all, man. Like, every little bit helps, and that means the world to us. Like, because it could be anybody. We're just grateful that we were given the opportunity to be able to do this, be a part of this community, and to earn the respect of the community. Like, you want to be respected. You don't want people to look at you as like a joke, or that they don't take you serious. So we really appreciate that. Yeah.
But I must admit, you must have been, on heavy medication when we last spoke, because you haven't remembered the thing that you say. Some people, American men, say to me that makes me go ah! when they do it.
What is that?
When they call me ma'am, when they're talking to me.
Oh, yeah. No, I always do, but yeah.
You haven't done it yet,
yes,
Dalen.
Man. I know. Well, I don't know if I've been asked. Usually, my ma'ams come out when it's a yes or no question. So if I'm elaborating,
I've got to ask you a yes or no question. Okay.
If it's a yes or no question.
Yes or no question. Are you still driving right now?
No, ma'am. I'm not.
There we go.
I'm not. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Dalen. Can we do this again next year?
Of course, I would love to. I wouldn't expect anything less.
Oh, no, it really has been a pleasure. And what you guys don't know is that Dalen was also kind enough to talk to my son earlier before we started recording, and he's still grinning from ear to ear.
Big Will.
Big Will. Yes, he is still grinning from ear to ear, and he was only supposed to ask you a couple of things, and I was literally trying to yank the mic back off him, saying, "Mate, I've got to do a show. I've got to record a show here. Stop hogging my guests."
That's funny.
I think he's after my job. I really do think he's after my job.
Well, you have an excellent predecessors. You have someone to pass the torch on to.
Yeah, we could actually that would be a new show, wouldn't it? Mother and son investigating team. That would be new, wouldn't it? He's nodding his head at me right now.
That's funny.
Well, that's been Dalen from the Ghost Brothers. Now, perhaps if we ask him nicely, he might get Joanna Marcus to come on as well at some point, so I could talk to all three of them.
Oh, for sure. I guarantee next time it'll be all of us.
All of you. Oh, wow. Okay. I'll make sure I try and I'll just let you three go and just sit back and listen and laugh at everything that you're saying. I'll just give you a subject and now talk, boys.
Right. That's funny. We'll run with it, so you got to watch it.
Anyway, so thank you ever so much for being my guest tonight, Dalen. I do appreciate it. Do check out, I mean, if you're in the UK, they do reruns of Ghost Brothers, the original series, all the time. And I know you guys were interviewed for Haunted Magazine a few issues ago, weren't you? I know you've done an interview for Haunted Mag, so you can check out that if you want to read up on them. For those of you in the US, you're lucky enough to be getting the new series on the 16th of August. What channel is it on?
August 16th.
Yeah, what channel is it on,
August 16th on Travel Channel. Travel Channel, August 16th.
There we go.
At 10 Eastern.
Okay, 10 Eastern. Yeah. What's that in the other money? What's that in Central and everything else?
What's that? So 10 Eastern, that would be 9 Central, and that would be 8 Pacific.
Okay. Are you sure? Because
7 Pacific. 7 Pacific.
Okay, the reason I'm teasing him about the time zones is I never know what time zone Dalen's going to be in, and when I was emailing him to arrange this interview, I gave him the UK time and the Pacific time, thinking he would translate it to whatever time zone he was in. And when I called him, he was like, "You're supposed to call me an hour ago."
Yeah, it was a little miscommunication on my end, misinterpretation on my end, guys. We made it work.
We made it work. We always do. Even when you're on your sick bed, we made it work. So, anyway, if you want to go and follow the Ghost Brothers guys, they've got their own Facebook pages and everything else. So do go and follow them and keep up to date. They really are lovely guys. I adore watching them. I really do. So, on that note, thank you ever so much for your time, Dalen.
No problem. Thank you.
And this has been Penny G. Morgan of Haunted Histories on Parasearch Radio. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break next week because I'm going to be on holiday. But after that, I'll be back with more shows. Don't forget, tomorrow night you've got 2 shows on a Thursday. What more do you want us to give you? And you can catch up with all the old shows on Spreaker and on YouTube. But on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you all and say have a good evening, sleep tight, and don't worry too much about things that go bump in the night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.